How does a kid who just turned 11 a few days ago, competing in the under 13 age category and only his second hurdle race ever, walk away as a national champion? And what's crazier, he's just getting started. Last week I reviewed 8 hurdlers and asked you to vote for the one who should get the full breakdown. The votes are in, and you chose Jayden Jones, one of the most exciting athletes in the UK. Today I'll be breaking down his technique, identifying key improvements, and showing him exactly what he needs to take his hurdling to the next level. So let's dive in and see what makes Jayden such a special talent and see how he can get even better. So here's the start of his race, and here's Jayden right here standing up. Partly because he's new, but also because he only takes 7 steps to the first hurdle. He has a very good push off his start here. This looks terrific. He has a good first step, good second step, third step, fourth step. But all of his steps so far have been really good. But I notice right here, here's step 6, here's step 7. That's where it changes a little bit. You can see here now he has a straight leg and it's planted out in front of him and he's leaning back. So really what happened is he accelerated for his first 6 steps, and on his 7th step he leaned back and put the brakes on a little bit. So he'd be better even if he could work on that plant step. Now what he needs to do is, instead of reaching out, he needs to make it just like his other steps were, to get it underneath him with the bent foot. What I would recommend is to make this one of the priorities. Since he's such a young age and he's so new to this, if he could fix this right now before it becomes a habit, that'd be fantastic. It would save him years of having to retrain this. The goal is to try to get your plant step right underneath you to where your shin is almost perpendicular to the ground. There are some drills you can do for this, like a cut step drill, but I really recommend working on it during a cycle drill. That's whenever your hurdles are spacing closer and you can practice going over them at less than full speed. And I like to use these as opportunities to focus on whatever needs to be worked on. So what I would recommend for you is, whenever you do these, practice getting your foot underneath you as much as possible. I would also recommend taking videos of this at practice from a side view and looking at it between your repetitions to see how your foot came down, and that way you can work harder at it until you get it just right. What's going to happen when you master this is now you will go flat and fast over the hurdle rather than jumping over it the way you're doing here. The other thing you can do is to work on your lead leg, practice driving it forward into the hurdles. I would start with a wall drill so you can focus on that, and when you get good at that, then you could take that to doing a walking over the hurdle drill and a skipping drill. And also, whenever you're working with the hurdles close together, I recommend doing lead legs over the side of each hurdle. Now both of those drills are going to help keep you lower over the hurdle. And that'll help you right here. You can see that you're kind of collapsing. That's because of the height that you were jumping at. So that'll go away when you get better at this. But I'm going to send Jayden 2 things. First, I'm going to send him my hurdle technique and drill guide. This is for his father who coaches him. This guide shows him all the things that I'm looking at when I'm analyzing somebody's technique, what it should look like, what the common mistakes are, and what things you should do and drills you should do to improve it. I'm also going to send him my ultimate hurdle technique library. Now that's a brand new thing that I've been putting together, and that has all the hurdle drills you'll ever need, and they're categorized by ability level and area of focus. This way, whatever he finds he needs to work on, based on using the hurdle technique guide, he can go into the library to find some drills that will help improve that. If you'd like to learn more about those, I'll have links in the description below and also in the comments. And something that I've noticed as I watch you run between the hurdles, you take a very long second step right here. You can see that, how far your knees are apart from each other. And then you do the same thing each time where you reach out with your plant step, get it in front of you and put on the brakes. All of them are getting you too close to the hurdle. And combined with what I was talking about earlier, it's what's causing you to be so high. I'd recommend keeping it a bit of a shorter step and run the same way he does as he runs normally for the 60 meters and not reach to get to the next hurdle. Get it a little smaller step. And also the same thing on this step, as I already talked about. Try not to reach out for this one. Get it underneath him with more of a bent knee. All of this will place him, a while back. I want to say a foot. I don't know what that is in your measurements. But you want to be a little farther from the hurdle so that you can go at the hurdle with a lower angle rather than having to jump up at the hurdle. Again, this is something that'll help keep him low over the hurdle quicker on it, faster coming and getting to the next hurdles. And when I watch him run here, this is what's truly exceptional and the reason why he's so good. What I don't know is how much of this is natural and how much of this is coaching, because I do know he has some good coaching in his club. My guess is it's a little bit of both, but here's what I want to point out. So if we see him in the air here, we can see that his knee is already well bent. And as this foot is coming towards the ground, we can see that it almost looks like it's moving backwards against the track. In reality, it's just backwards in relationship to his body, where a lot of kids want to reach out and get their foot in front of him. He's getting his underneath him. So there's no braking action here that he has to overcome. Everything is positive movement in the right direction. You can see it again with this leg even more dramatically. Look at that. This is terrific. This is a very talented kid with lots of potential. So to recap, the 3 things that I'm recommending for Jaden is to work on his plant step, getting his foot underneath him, to work on his lead leg, driving his knee towards the hurdle, and also with his running between the hurdles, to run the same way that he does normally to get his foot underneath him. The nice thing is that most of these things are best fixed during what's called a cycle drill. That's when you squeeze the hurdles in closer than normal so you can go over them in less than full speed, and it gives you a good chance to work on various things. Now you might be wondering, what is that spacing? Because I want to do that drill. Well, unfortunately, I don't have an exact spacing, and I know people have been asking me a lot about spacing, so I am going to start making some videos to talk about in the near future. But in the time being, here's what I can tell you. It's different for each athlete, so you're going to have to play around with it. To give you a starting point, I can tell you that for the average high schooler, for a girl who's starting out, it would be 8 of my walking steps. Now, all that means is I set the first hurdle down where it belongs, I pick up the second hurdle, and I walk casually for 8 steps, and I put the next hurdle there, and I do that for a third and a fourth hurdle, and that spacing almost always works out perfectly. Now, for high school boys, it's about 9 walking steps. And as they get older and faster, for the girls, it could be 8 to 9 steps, and boys 9 to 10 steps. Now, when we're talking about a youngster like Jaden here, I would start out with 6 steps and then see how that works. If that feels too bunched up, I might go with 7 steps and again, see how that works. And if that's too tight, I'd probably go to 8 steps. But again, you're going to have to play around with it. That's it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you'd like to see how I can help you with your hurdling, I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments, or you can go to my website at acemethodcoaching.com.